Hey everybody and welcome. I'm Matt, Senior Client Success Manager at White House Custom Color, and before we start chatting with Kara and Michelle today, I just want to make sure that we give you a few announcements. So if you haven't subscribed to the WHCC YouTube, make sure and hit that subscribe button so you get notified of cool events like we're doing today. Follow along on Instagram at WHCC Pro, and for all of your product details questions, make sure and go to WHCC.com. If you do have questions during the broadcast today, put them into the chat. If you're watching this on the rewind, put your questions into the comment section, and we know how to find these guys and we can get the answer for you. I'm pretty sure of it.
Right.
Yes. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's truly a pleasure to have you guys here. From the moment the car pulled up this morning in the parking lot, you came out with like high energy and you're excited to be here, and we're thrilled to have you.
We're excited to be here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I know, it's
So
amazing.
let's start with Kara. So you want to do just a quick intro for us, tell everybody who you are, where you're from, a little history about the business?
Sure. My name's Kara Davel with Davel Photography, and we started our business, I would say, probably almost 20 years ago.
Okay.
My grandfather was a photographer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
There you go.
Very cool.
So he started me with my interest in photography when I was young. I had my first camera when I was 14,
Cool.
film camera, and kind of went from there. But we live south of Atlanta,
Okay.
in Griffin, Georgia.
Yep.
So, and we really enjoy shooting a variety of things, but we really like to shoot high school seniors a lot. That's a lot of what we do.
Awesome.
So.
And your style is so amazing. We're gonna talk more depth into that here in a little bit. But who is this person that you brought with you?
This is my wingman. It's also my mom.
Yes. So Michelle, tell us a little bit about you and what you do at the studio, because I know you have a lot of hats that you wear.
Well, my favorite thing to do is I assist during photo shoot. So
Yep.
Kara does camera typically, and I do lights. And so I love to work with clients. I also do very many client contacts. I do a lot of calls
Yep.
to clients, so I spend a lot of time on the phone. New clients, as well as customer service with our existing clients. So I'm usually busy.
Yes. So when we were talking about the live coming up and the content, and I asked Kara to give me a job description for you, and she sent back a text that was about this long.
Right.
And one of our creative geniuses, Christina, on our marketing team, came up with lighting maestro and happiness hero for you. And we thought that that fit perfectly. So,
Right.
because you're always happy, and the way that Kara describes it, you're perfect with the lights, and you're moving, and you're constantly reacting to how the subject is moving, which is evident in the images. So we gave you a new title.
We'll call you Maestro today.
Yes, I like that. So, Kara, to start off with, let's
course.
talk about your style. And while we're
Okay.
doing this, Lucas is going to be so kind as to run a slideshow of some of the images that you sent us. We have beautiful images up behind. Tell us, like in your words, like about your style and how you developed that.
Okay. Well, I really like edgy pictures.
Yes.
And I really like to have a lot of feeling with our seniors, with our clients, no matter who it is. I like them to mean something. And commercially, we have other styles too. We do softer looking pictures, but where I really resonate with what I do is the edgy things with using lighting and kind of cool backgrounds, or just making sure that people have a lot of intent on their face. I love expression in photography. So
Absolutely. And a lot of the things that I'm going to pause you for a second, but I'll remember you wanted to go, Michelle. One of the things that we love to highlight in the WHCC booth at a lot of trade shows is your sports images.
Right.
And because they're so edgy and gritty, and the lighting is so good on them. Do you lend yourself a little bit more towards like that style versus the soft and flowy? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do. It's just more dynamic.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I love working with athletes, whether they're boys or girls. And that is something that's kind of unique about us, because we shoot a lot of guys in our studio. I would say almost 50-50,
Okay.
which is neat because you think mostly girls like their senior pictures. But we love shooting guys and girls that are seniors that are into sports, because they're really it's something that they're really into. So we're able to get a lot with their facial expressions, and just get a lot of really cool dynamic pictures when they're into something, and it's something usually that they've been doing for a lot of years.
Right.
So I don't know, I just like it. We like adding water, smoke, different things to make sure that the pictures just really come across to show the power that they really have inside, show their dynamic selves.
I like how you light up when you talk about that, like when you talk about like the power inside of them and the passion and like the things that they truly love. Like I can see you get excited along with them, which that's amazing. So Michele, what were you going to say? I don't want to move on past you.
I was going to say that we love an edgy style, but we also do have a constraint, and that is that like if we were a sports photographer and we wanted to take an amazing photo of a football player, we could do whatever we wanted, but in these circumstances, we also want to make sure that the light or whatever we're using, even though the style is edgy, is flattering. Like we want our girls to be beautiful, our guys to be handsome. It's important to us, that they are, they feel very good about themselves.
Yes.
And so, all of their images, we want the cool image, but we also want the beautiful face.
Yes,
if we can.
Absolutely. That's a really good point. So you were kind enough to photograph your son.
Right.
And give us some pullbacks, because when I was talking to you, I'm like, your lighting is so good, it'd be cool to see like what your setup is. So we have some images that you sent us of your son, and I believe a volleyball.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And he's making some good
had.
expressions in here. But if we freeze, actually, if we could go back to that one once, Lucas, the multi-light setup. When you're doing that, when you have your kicker lights, you have your main light, your hair light. Tell us, like, what is your typical setup when you're getting this awesome lighting that you're doing?
So Michele and I like to have 2 of the strip lights on the back. This is just like a basic setup.
Okay.
And once you get the basic setup, then you can start adding other components in. I think a lot of people do that, but she'll usually be walking around with that main light is where we're usually typically moving in front of the subject, but that's a 3x4 square, I would say, with a grid on it. We have a double diffuser and a grid.
So does your main light have feet then, or is it on a stand?
It's on a stand.
Okay. Your feet.
But frequently my feet too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and that's important. I guess we can talk about it, but a lot of what our style is Michele, because she's holding it over the subject to the side of the subject. As they move, she is tweaking that light or going underneath the subject with that main light, which is consistently giving you that really cool edge. Or a lot of times I like to take it way to the side to get that edge. But we have those 2 back long strip lights usually, and then most of the time I would say we change our modifiers, we change things, but as like a standard, we have a long, probably like a 3x5. Just panel
from head to toe,
which is
for the fill.
Yeah.
Fill from head to toe, so that the feet are visible.
So you're not
the light on the right.
in the studio and on location. You're not cutting any corners. Like you are adding light and adding punch and doing everything necessary to create all this dynamic effect. Doesn't matter where you're at.
Right.
Yeah. So you travel light, is what you're trying to say.
No. There's nothing light or anything cool looking about us carrying all the lights everywhere,
A lot of clunking.
But to get the effects and the style that you're achieving, that's what you have to do. And you're working for it.
Right.
Yeah. So
because that's really a minimum.
Right.
Like the 4 lights.
Normally you just
frequently.
bring a semi full of gear with?
Well, you always can think, well, maybe I could use another one.
Right, exactly. So then give us an idea of like how long does a session typically last? Are we talking about a half a day, longer? Like what?
It depends on what we're doing, but typically a lot of our high school seniors, as we've talked about, a lot of them are athletes of some kind, or they're into something that's kind of, athletic or something that's kind of cool. So a lot of our sessions, we will do a studio session with some kind of cool dynamic lighting, or have them inside and maybe a formal wear or something like that. And then we also go on location. That's not true for every session, but a lot of times that is. So I would say just a basic session is going to last about 3 hours because we've got travel, we've got in-studio setups, we've got outdoor setups that Michele and I work on together and that type of thing. But yeah.
Time for the clients to change and,
Right.
you know. So.
And just get settled too.
Right.
You know, not pushing them to go too fast and allowing you time to be creative.
Right.
So
Exactly.
when we were talking prior to your visit here, you said something that it really stuck with me, and I want you to clarify it for everybody that's listening today. So how is your edgy style true to yourself? Because you said that specifically on the call that day. How does that fit Kara?
I think that I just don't, for me personally, I wasn't expecting this question, but I like to push the edges of things. I don't like the normal. You know, like if I look at something and everybody else has done it or everybody else is doing it exactly the same, then I don't want to do it. I want something that is above and beyond. And even when I was looking at these pictures, I was like, oh, I want to do something different. You know, I want to push that edge a little further. Could we go further on this or could we go further on that? So I guess it's just, you're like that too. Yeah. But we want to do something that we love. And if I don't love it and I don't resonate with it, then why am I doing it?
That's
you know,
awesome.
But
and I hope
that's why I like the edge.
Yeah, for sure. And I hope that everybody listening today really heard that, because like what you're doing internally and with your mom, you guys push each other. You know, and you're constantly, you know, looking at these images and the work and the detail and lighting that goes into them. You're probably looking at all of them being like, yeah, I could have done this different. I could have made this better. I could have done, you know, you're probably those people, I'm assuming, but that's what makes you amazing. You know, and when we have your images in the booth, people stop and look and they're like, wow, that's just incredible. You know, the attention to detail is phenomenal.
But there's one thing Kara didn't mention that I think is true of her also, is that she's emotionally connected to her clients. And so when she sees a client and, you know, it's a football player or a baseball player, they put their heart into it. They've been driven their hours every day, missed dinners. You know, she wants to show the pride of achievement for that client. It's like your heart too, you know, that you want that client to have that beautiful memory of what their family has accomplished together for all those years.
Absolutely, because there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into
Huge
that.
amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a great trade-off, but at the time, like, I'm sure there's really rough days that these kids and parents go through, you know, to get to that point. So that's amazing. Yeah. So in addition to the emotion part of it and you always pushing yourself further, the lighting, the edgy backgrounds, whether it's in the studio or out on location, you said you're really, your words were, I'm super big on expressions.
Right.
And getting the expression right brings it full circle. So how do you reach into that senior and know what the expression should be for that? I mean, I know you guys spend a lot of time on the phone, you talk, you do all the things. Like, how do you build that story for them with the expressions, and how do you get that out?
You're right, it does start, I mean, I know we'll go into that, but it does start definitely on the phone. Starts with finding out who the client is, who the senior is, from the, you know, as soon as we talk to the client, you know, we're finding out what the child's like. Everybody's different. Yeah. And we can't treat everybody like they were the same. They're the same person, so we have to go in, find out what the differences are, you know, start trying to get to know them as a person so that we can find out why they're special to the parents, what makes them a unique human being, that type of thing. And then we try to always talk with the senior as well as the parents so that we're kind of starting our connection there. And then when they come into the studio, we just try to be full of energy. We try to kind of meet them, and we're excited. We find, you know, the great parts about them, and, you know, we're very complimentary. We try to make it about them, not about us. Right. But I think we're both good people. People?
People? I think that's how you would say that.
I'm not sure how you would say that.
You're a people.
Yeah. So we just try. I mean, a lot of times that we are just excited and we're talking about them, or when we're serious, we're, you know, getting them serious. We're like, we're going to get this shot. That's how we're going to get it, you know, and we're talking to them when we're matching. a lot of times I'm matching the energy of the shot that I give.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm even matching the stance that they
Yeah.
give in the.
Now, how come you didn't send that pullback?
I don't know why that one didn't make it, but.
So speaking of cool and edgy sets, let's talk about your water set.
Okay.
A little bit. So you sent us a video of you guys actually building this in the studio, and you literally put a pool of water into your studio. Now, what was the use for this, or do you leave that up all the time?
No, we do not leave that up all the time.
Okay. In case you wanted just to take a little dip.
Right. Go swimming in this
Yeah.
awesome water.
Yeah.
Roll around in it more
Yes.
like.
In all 2 inches of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So what was the use for that? Either one of you can tell me about that.
Go ahead, Michelle.
So we have clients that are special to us, and there are our examples, our representatives, and we gift them with a session at the end of the year.
Okay.
So senior portraits come early, they come later, and this is for fun and for something cool, something outside of the box that, and also it gives us an opportunity to stretch a little bit. Right. Because we can do something, we can't build a water set every day, but we can do it one time a year. And then we can have, something creative to show off too for them. Yeah. And so it's a little reward for them and for us also, yeah.
It's an incentive, basically. This was an incentive at the end of our model program, or like we call it our role model program for our seniors that did our model program. So we build a set, or we do a cool day of cool lighting, and then they get an invitation to come for free photographs that we would post or do a little video or add to their digital album or whatever it is that we're doing.
Okay. So it's for a very small group.
It's for, the models that we get, our referrals, our personal referrals that we've called, and we still have a bit of a senior model program going on. It's changed over the years, but we still do have one.
Awesome.
And it's just something that kids like to their pictures to be seen. They like to have a video. You know how big everybody is with their phones, so that's one of the incentives that we use, that they have a free invitation to one of our crazy set, whatever we're going to build or whatever we're going to do outside of the box. It wouldn't be something that we typically would do on a day-to-day basis, but it would be something that would be special for them.
Awesome. It's so cool, like just to see how that was all going together. And we just had lunch, and we were talking about that. I'm like, you had a lot of trust in that frame.
Right.
And that bladder, or whatever you call it, pond liner in there, that water was actually going to stay.
Right. We bought the very thick liner. We did not cheap out on that.
Yeah, good plan. So another thing that you stressed during our phone call was the interaction of the parents with the senior on the day of the session. So how do you get your parents to interact during that session? Do you require it? Is the invitation out there? Are the parents suggesting it? Like, how do you do that? Because I know that that's a big piece of your sessions.
Yeah, well, when we build our relationship with our families before they come in, we don't require anything of them, but we build a desire for them to come and share that experience with their clients and with their seniors. And they normally have that anyway. This is a special experience to them. That, to me, is one of the things I love to be able to give them, is a day that they can make a memory together, build an experience together. It gives an opportunity to spend one-on-one time together. And so, to me, that's the best, that their moms and dads can come and take part in that process.
And I think we always ask the parents, what is your relationship like with Catherine, or whoever it is, the senior, what is so special about your relationship? When are you guys able to connect, and that type of thing? And it just allows them time to be asked something that they've never been asked, which we've done some training with Steve Saprito, so I wanted to mention him too, but he's helped us a lot. Like, we've always been very customer service oriented, but we're always asking the parents what it is that's special about them, and then it makes them become emotional, and it makes them become emotionally attached to what we're doing. Right. And then we ask them, would you mind being in a photograph with your child? And sometimes I'll sell a wall portrait with the mom and daughter, or son and mom, or dad, or whoever's there. Sometimes they will decide that they don't want to do it on the day of, but a lot of times they do decide they want to do it because it is very much part of a parental experience. And we figured that out, after years of doing this, how important it was for the parents to really be involved in their, experience. So.
Well, and the experience of it is completely tied to the product, and the overall experience of the session, from the beginning of the phone call to the session, to the product, to the sale, to the follow-up, to all the things. I mean, you're not just pulling the product out and being like, this is awesome. It has to have the whole experience to go with it. So as long as we're talking about products and sessions, so I'm just going to bring this
awesome,
up.
Though.
Yeah, for everybody to see. So I want to point out that this is a 40 spread album. And this is a client's. This is not one that you just did for display. This is from a session. So this is actually going to this client. And there are images of this young lady in here with her mom and her dad. So I'm just going to hold this up. You probably know the layout better than I do, Kara. So I'll let you kind of flip through there. But how many images are in this album?
This one has at least probably about 140 to 160, but I think it's closer to 140. I'm not sure. So
and stunning locations and multiple outfits and indoor and outdoor, and to know
do you
that
want me to show some of this stuff off? Like
let's
this is in
just do
studio
it. Let's
set.
talk about it. That this is going to a client. And this is actually what they're going to have from their session. That's fantastic. Yes. And just to fill everybody in on kind of the more details of this. So this is a 12-12. This is printed on Fuji deep matte paper. This has the thin white inserts, and then the full custom photo cover is what we're looking at here, because I know we'll have people asking about that.
Right. And I love this tube. This paper is so nice because it doesn't make fingerprints, and it just is. Our clients love it too. But the parent, I've skipped over some pages. I'll skip a few more. But the parent pictures are at the back, and I'll start here. This is her and her mom, and her name is Kylie, and her mom and her have such a great relationship.
Beautiful family.
Just would do anything for her daughter, and we find a lot of our clients are like that because they're the parents that just are so involved in their children. They're the ones that are going to give you all, they're going to cry on the phone, they're going to tell you, they just want to give their kid the best of whatever they can give, but you can see the love and everything, and we don't even have to stage this stuff. And
it just
this
happens.
is just, and then these are more spreads for their book and more pictures that they're choosing and purchasing. And then she had a special relationship with her dad. We have them fishing together. That's just something that they have always done since she was little. So, Dad came on the set, brought his fishing pole. They got their fishing, their little outfits to get coordinating. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's just part of their story.
Yeah, it's super cool. And the whole album is absolutely beautiful, finished on the back as well with your logo. So, yes, phenomenal job. I absolutely love it.
Thank you.
So before we move on to the service side of our discussion today, one thing that you did stress, and it's a good tie into this, is you're like, I always want to make the dads a part of this experience too. Why?
Okay, so and I can give you a couple examples. There was a time or two recently that I got really busy and I didn't include the dads, and it did not go as smoothly as it would have when the dads got there. But the dads need to be involved. Again, this is something that actually Steve Saprito kind of helped us with, but the dads always need to be involved because they're never asked what the important things are in their kids' lives. They're paying the bill, but they're not technically as emotionally involved usually as the moms are, because the moms are usually the ones, not always, but usually the ones that are calling us, that are talking, to us about their seniors and that type of thing. But the dads play such a large role in it, and it is so emotionally charging when somebody takes the time, even if it's only for a couple minutes, to ask them, why is your child so special to you, and what is it that you love about your kids? So it literally creates an emotional attachment for us. And not only that, but you're going to be financially rewarded if the dad is involved too, because he, a lot of times is a contributor to what we're doing, with the senior, and he's just more emotionally invested. It just makes everything go smoother than without. A lot of times when you have all the objections to pricing and different things like that, it's because the dad wasn't really involved. And for so many years we missed that bar.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get it now. We try to talk to the dad, we do miss it sometimes, but we try to talk to the dad as much as we can on the session, so before the session.
And you helped us out with that recently. You guys were awesome because we had a military family who came to us. And actually, if you want to talk about dads, this is the dad. He's consistently over time booked and done all the communication with us for his daughters, beautiful girls. And his younger daughter was coming for her senior photography a little later in the year than normal. And she had already committed to military career and was going to be ready to go for training. And the training came up unexpectedly, and so I called him to check in, and she was leaving on a late Monday evening or early Tuesday morning, and I was able to call you guys, and you were able to get her book to her and her wall art so that I could take them and deliver them. You guys got them. I don't even know how you got them ready so fast, but somehow you did, and you got them all the way to Georgia, and I delivered them to them at dinner, and it was the dad who was able to present those items to his daughter. I was privileged to be there, but he was so proud and happy to do that, and you guys helped out with that too.
Awesome.
Dads love their children.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And you guys got to actually see this album be made this morning, and you're going to see wall art this afternoon. So you met the team that did that for you, and kudos to them.
It was amazing.
But you guys go above and beyond, like we go above and beyond, so it's just great. It was great to see. We literally had the product in hand the next day. We were so taken back by that. And then just to see how
Seemed
that
impossible.
trails down, that we're able to do something like that because of you guys. Because we have such a great relationship with us.
It's a good team.
Yeah,
Yes.
I feel that way.
Yeah.
And a lot of clients and photographers, I don't think they feel that way with their lab, but we feel like we're connected to you guys as a team. You've taken a personal interest in us for as long as I can remember. I mean, even the owner of your
help us out
company
a
has
lot.
been at my studio.
And,
So.
and you guys met at a corner this morning. The first thing he did was give you a giant hug.
Right.
So yeah.
Makes you feel great.
That's awesome. So before we go into part 2 here, I just want to remind everybody, if you do have questions, make sure and put them in the chat or into the comments, and we'll get those answered live here. So let's talk a little bit more about the business side of it. Okay. How are you able to redirect from price when somebody calls? Because I think people just inherently ask that question, like, how much is this? How do you spin that? How do you redirect that on the phone?
So that really is a question that is a hard one to answer and an easy one to answer. And the hard part is that when they call me, if their first question is about price, I don't know, because I don't know who their child is. I don't know what they want to do for their session. I don't know what their desires are for what they want for their home. And so what I naturally would try to do is first try to speak to them and see what their family is like, how much they want for their child. They would want something really simple. Do they want something more complicated? And that's what I tell them. I tell them, oh, tell me about your child, and then I'll be able to answer your questions. And then as they do ask about price, of course you want to be transparent and forthcoming and make sure that they have all the information that they need. But if it's only about price, then we're missing an opportunity. And so we usually try and establish at least what they love, what they want, before we have to speak about that.
Right. So in a scenario, I'm just going to role play with you a little bit here, because I think what you said, Michele, is amazing, but people get nervous, and they'll revert back to, if somebody says, well, how much is this, freeze point, and then maybe saying the wrong thing. If you're having that discussion with somebody and you pose the question back to them and say, well, maybe not the tell me about your child, because they'll be able to do that, but if you say, like, what were you thinking, for your family? Are you looking at an album? Are you looking at wall art? Like, how do you handle that if somebody says, well, I don't know?
Well, I probably wouldn't phrase what were you thinking?
Okay.
Because I would probably want to ask them more of a leading question,
Okay.
like, do you love, or we have beautiful books. You know, I'll talk to them about that.
Okay.
And then I'll tell them, you know, that the books are gorgeous, they're archival, they're handmade, they're a wonderful keepsake piece, you know, it'll be passed down through their family. And then normally when I do quote them price, I will quote them for our more expensive products first. And then I'll say, we have the same beautiful book and it comes in different sizes, and then I'll quote them for a larger amount and then trickle on down, you know, to smaller. And then I also tell them that families come to us and that we work with their particular budget, you know, so that I try and make it possible for them so that they're not nervous about it. But this is usually an addendum to the conversation. It is not the main part of the conversation. It takes a few minutes and you do have to give them the nuts and bolts information. Yeah. But normally you can enjoy a conversation with a client and you can establish a little bit of rapport with them before you have to speak about price. And then it's not, I'm quoting you, I'm reading from you, but I'm asking you what you like, you're giving me feedback, you know, and then I'm able to answer your questions.
Right, that's awesome, I love that. I would love to have a recording of you on a call, you know, and to hear, because you're so sincere, and like I'm sitting here and nodding, I'll go right along with you because your voice is so calm and kind, you know, and that's wonderful. You're being a very good advocate for the business and for the senior,
yeah,
which is amazing. And I'm sure that people understand that, can understand that tone, you know, in your voice. So I'm gonna go out of order just a little bit here. For those conversations, and you guys can both chime in on this, is that completely organic for the conversations on the phones, or is it something that is somewhat scripted that you go off of, or how does that work? Because I know a lot of times, and I'm going to pause for just a second here before I let you answer that, a lot of times people are focusing on text marketing, book me through my website, getting an email for this. You guys really, you go the opposite way. You're on the phone. You're connecting in a personal manner.
Right.
So now we can go back to my question about, is that an organic, 100% organic conversation, or how are you getting the nuts and bolts that you need?
So it's a goal-oriented conversation.
I love that.
I'm
going to steal that from you.
Yeah, right.
So we do not have a script, but we have goals. And our goals are to speak to the moms to see how they're feeling about their child and what they think. We always ask them what they are most proud of about their children. We ask them, are they funny? Are they studious? Are they, you know, techie, and what their style is, and then we also have a goal to find out how the child fits into the family, you know, and then the goal of the senior, do they have things that they want from their photo shoot? So there's certain information we know that we have to impart, and certain information that we know that we would like to receive from our clients. And so we speak in such a way as to achieve the goals, hopefully, without going with a script. And also these things can happen out of order, you know, depending on what the client is, you know, we have to mirror back to them, you know, so if they're concerned about one thing or another, then we're going to talk about that first with them. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of think it's got a couple main objectives. The first thing that we, like Michele was speaking about, if they're trying to ask about price, we immediately shift the conversation to about them, their family, their senior, whoever it is that we're photographing, why we're photographing them. And then we, if it's a high school senior, we ask about the relationships in the family, their relationship with their child primarily, you know, that of the dad. We try to get the dad's information. Always, can I get his cell phone number, you know, so we can have that conversation with him. When's a good time to talk to the senior? If they're there, a lot of times we'll get them to at least chime in, you know, at least at some point in the conversation. And then we also always ask them, where is it that you want to hang your wall portrait or your wall portraits in your home? We assume that they always want them because they're the best,
Right?
right?
Why wouldn't they?
We get them from the best company. And so we try to anchor that with a piece of furniture. Where in your home could you see that going? Where can you visualize your kid that you love so much, that has been, doing this their whole life and that is a very studious child? Where can you see them, being on your wall? How can you see that looking? Right. You know what I mean? So we're visualizing it. Yeah. We're emotionally connecting to our client the entire time, and we're connecting the product to the emotional in the photo shoot, because we need those emotions to always be in play. And Michele is fantastic at that. Like you said, everybody likes her because she's just so
I
kind.
like her too.
Yeah, I do too. But it's just that kind, and she genuinely cares, and we just genuinely care about our kids. And we're also invested in them. We're like, oh my goodness, they're on the all-star cheerleading team, or he's been a football player. Like, we are so excited about that, because let's celebrate life together. Let's celebrate these things together. And we just love it. So
yeah, that's awesome. And in a time where, when I was young, when you were younger, we grew up in a very different time than now. And the pressures, and stresses and things, to be able to celebrate that instead of it being that constant pressure that has to feel just like a relief valve.
Yeah.
And being able to connect with you. And like, what I'm so impressed by, and I hope everybody is understanding this too, like, you're really living this. This is not just a sales tactic. This is not just a way to get people to book. Like, you genuinely care.
Right.
You really do.
Oh, we do.
And you don't have to fake that.
Right.
Because you just do
naturally,
which is amazing. I commend you both for that.
And also, when we reach out to clients, because we do reach out to people that we do not know, but we reach out to them and we want them to have the same experience, and that's not related to their budget. Mm-hmm. So, we have some clients that come to us with a small family budget. Mm-hmm. We have some that come to us with a larger family budget. We don't necessarily know or necessarily care. We still, want to have that same wonderful experience for that family. Right. Mm-hmm. So, that isn't always related that way. And I don't think that's I think if you do that, I think clients will pick up on it too, like that'll lessen the relationship with you also.
Absolutely. So I have one more question for you both before we wrap this up here today. So with all of the relationships and the people that you've worked with in the past, I can't help but think that a huge percentage of your business is referrals. Is that correct?
Almost 100% of it is referrals. I mean, we started with a great client years ago, one great client, and that client sent us like 20 other clients, and I don't know, it just seems like we've been so honored and privileged to work with so many great clients. We try to give them a great experience every time, and that's what we call it. We don't call it session, we call it photographic experience. Cool. And we've picked up on these words too. Right. But we give them an experience. We give them something that is fun, and
Yes, and even if I contact people that don't know us, people are a community. So maybe they know someone who has come to us, and even if they don't know us, they'll call and check. They'll see, oh, how was it? And so, referral is huge.
Yeah, one person has a great experience, then they're going to talk to their friends about it, and then their friends are going to talk about it. But like Michele said, and then we do have a bit of a model program where they still are referring people to us. And I know some people probably think that that's old school, but they're referring their friend to us, and their friend is already excited for us to call them before we've even gotten to them a lot of times, because it just is great. We just have a lot of great people who refer a lot of other great people, and they're
Yeah.
willing to do it too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm sitting here thinking, like when I'm listening to you, and I can think of experiences, like in retail or a restaurant or whatever. There's some experiences you have that are so good that you can't wait to tell somebody about it. And I feel like that's what you're creating in your studio. Like, you don't have to ask for a referral or ask for a review. People are leaving with this experience that's so above and beyond, I'm going to steal your words, that they can't wait to share that, which for everybody listening, that's the goal.
Right.
Is to achieve that level of style, of service, of personality, of images, all the things that people are so excited about that they can't not refer you.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why we work with you too, is because you guys are definitely that to us. And I just have to express that appreciation one more time, because you guys are that to us, Matt. Like, literally, the personal experience and how you guys as a lab go above and beyond for us, we would never go anywhere else.
Yeah.
Because our clients are, you work with great people, you're surrounded by a great community, and get rewarded for it.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Well, this has been fantastic. And like I was saying before we jumped on here today, the best conversations are the ones where the cameras disappear.
Right.
And the cameras disappeared about a half hour ago. So we love you guys. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you for being here today. It's very, very important to us and to everybody that's following along that you're willing to share and to hang out and to see your awesome products being made. We're going to go over to our big wall display building and see one of your big wall art pieces created in front of you this afternoon.
Great.
So we're excited for that. And thank you for joining us. Just a quick reminder, if you haven't hit the subscribe button for the WHCC YouTube, make sure and do that so you don't miss out on cool conversations like this. Follow along on Instagram at WHCC Pro, and for all of your product details, questions, hit up WHCC.com. I'm Matt with Kara and Michelle. Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you at the next one.